Hello, and welcome back to another Abyss review. 4.0 Abyss was changed, it was only here for two cycles, so yeah, immediately with 4.1 we're getting a new Abyss that, I shall remind you, will be refreshed twice, because 4.2 is going to be around the 8th of November, which means that, with the 1st of October we got the reset, 16th of October another reset, and then the 1st of November is also going to be a reset. We're not gonna see changed enemies, so I guess I wanted to remind you that. But yeah, enemies have changed. Of course, we're not gonna be taking a look at 9 and 10 because the enemies haven't changed, and they will not change until we reach 5.0. So if you want any tips on those floors and you're a newer player perhaps, you can check out the 4.0 Abyss video for tips on those floors. But for this Abyss, I would say it is definitely easier than the previous one, and I can say less frustrating, especially since that fucking crab is gone. But there are some things I very dislike about this Abyss. Other than that, there are some weird chambers in this one with weird waves of enemies, and that's about it for a general pre-review, I guess. So why don't we get immediately into floor 11 and 12 and check out and see what's up. In floor 11, chamber 1, it is a pretty easy chamber. It is a monolith defense. The first half is a bunch of eremites. As always with these ones, Anemone completely breaks these. And since Venti is in the banners, the first half of the entire floor is very ventiable, as it's called. So if you have Venti or even Kazuha, you're just going to breeze through this floor extremely easily. Other than that, some AoE will be useful to beat these guys easily. On the second half is two lava churls that spawn individually, so you should easily be able to draw their aggro individually as they spawn and beat them sooner or later with some damage. And then we can move on to the second chamber, whose first half is full of specters. Just of various elements. I think Hydro ones do not exist, so you might want to bring that. But once again, Anemo just deletes them. And again, just an absolute, variation of elements will also destroy them. Even if you cannot, hit one of the specters with one of your characters, the other ones will, that's the idea. But yeah, just full of specters, no Hydro, so Neuvillette will just laser them, Kamehameha them. But yeah, and then the second half of the second chamber is single enemy waves of ruin enemies. Drakes and guards and grades, very, very easy. It might feel a bit time consuming because they're spawning, one after the other. But reminder, floor 11, second chamber, you have a very much lenient time limit, so you should be extremely good. And then on the last chamber of floor 11, it's like the specters, but with some more enemy variety. There's some slimes, there's some crabs, seahorses, they're mostly pyro-electro. And then a last wave focused on burning you, of course, with the new Breacher alien Primuses and a Pyromates. These Primuses are Dendron, not the Geo variant, so they put the Pyromates to cause burning on you. The second half is where you should pay some good attention though, because here are the two local land legends from 4.0. They are easier than their overworld version since they are heavily buffed in the overworld, especially in HP and damage. But that doesn't mean that they are like a cakewalk here. They might not be as powerful as that overworld version. But even here in the Abyss in floor 11, they can be tanky. They are tanky. And they can do a lot of damage with some of their attacks, so be careful. They spawn in front and behind you, and you should be able to group them up by standing in the middle, else one of them will continuously use range attacks, especially if you run forwards. The other, Blubber Beast, Bubble Beast, I don't remember what the heck the thing is called, will do a laser attack, and that thing hurts. So yeah, try to maybe stand close to them, stand in the middle, and maybe they should group up. Again, you can take them one by one, but the other one that they're not hitting will use range attacks that can be very annoying. Overall, it's a pretty easy floor 11, especially again with an MOCC, and it's just the local legends that can cause trouble. And I would guess that we'll see the 4.1 local legends in another Abyss, perhaps in 4.2, maybe again in floor 11. That would be an interesting thing. I do like these mini bosses a bit, but you know, I like when they're not elemental aligned, you know, because these things cannot be defeated by Hydro at all, right? They're immune to Hydro, and they can also ruin your reactions, perhaps. So having the more neutral local legends that appeared in 4.1 is a better thingy. But to floor 12 we go, as we have finished floor 11. Floor 12 starts with the new Seahorse Boss. This boss is way easier and just better in every way than the crab by far. You can hear my complaints on that stupid fuck on the 4.0 Abyss video, but here the Seahorse's Pearl is much easier to hit. It doesn't have a bullshit hitbox, nor is it placed in a bullshit spot like the crab, and its attacks are way less frustrating than the crab. Additionally, it doesn't leave a damaging floor as much as the crab. Like the crab constantly put the floor on fire, while the Seahorse has some attacks that don't completely cover the floor. And the best thing is that unlike the crab, there is a way to cut its resistances without breaking the pearl, since it flies up and spawns 3 things on the floor that should break with just 1 or 2 elemental attacks. It doesn't get stunned for long though, which is annoying, but it also dies immediately after its resistances are gone. Highlight here, my Ayaka and Kaeya just instantly destroy the pearl. One Ayaka ultimate decimates the poor thing and it just deletes it in a second. Many other teams will work this. Pyro, Dendro, whatever the fuck you want to bring, except for Hydro mostly, will just delete this thing. Slowly, but again, once the pearl is broken, it's gone. But if you have an Ayaka, just throw out an ult on it, even if it has the res up, and just look at that thing delete instantly the pearl. But for the first chamber, now the second half is absolutely packed with doggos, and then 3 pyro mages. AoE is king here, of course, and you will need some healing to fight the corrosion. The tip here is to run away from the mages when they spawn, so that they all teleport next to you. I mean, if you start fighting one, they should teleport, but just better thing, run the fuck away once they spawn. They will all come together and use your stuff to break their shields. As for the dogs, again, just a lot of AoE, and they will just be gone. But there's a lot of them. I mean, even with single target, I did it with my Hutao, you can do it, but AoE is just the easy thing. Any AoE team. Do you want to bring mono teams? Anything will do. You don't need to use the thing with the dogs that are Electro and Geo and they take more damage from that. It's not needed in this one. The second chamber contains some small Vishaps and then a shooter mecha and a construction mecha. Very easy, stick to the shooter guy because he doesn't chase you while the other mecha does and you'll be good. And then you will face the other version of the Icewind suit. Here we have the Coppelia or Coppelia version. Instead of the Coppelius we had the last Abyss. This one sucks major dick compared to the Coppelius version, because there, breaking Coppelius' Cryo Shield ended the climax phase early. But here, there isn't a shield, nor is there any mechanic that does a similar effect. The only way to stop it is with the shitty Premusia mechanic, of course. Fuck this variation, and Coppelia has a pushback attack, and they are both attacking you constantly. Fuck this boss. And again, this variation specifically. The only advice here is to just beat the shit out of Coppelia, because again, there is no counter to this variation of the boss. Fuck this. And in the last chamber, there is 1 Mirror Maiden, and then 2 of the new Wind Fatui ladies, so don't bring Anemo on the first half, because these things take no damage from Anemo. They have really high Anemo resistances. The Mirror Maiden is a bit of a tank, we know, and I think everybody knows the thick Mirror Maiden, but the new enemies aren't as much, even on 12-3. When they spawn, try to damage both of them once and then sit between them. They usually spawn on the left and right of the middle area. A bow or just some sort of attack to take their aggro and then just sit in the middle, and that should cause them to group up towards you. With a teleporting attack or they just walk to you, this is the easiest way. You can take them one by one, but this can help you.
I didn't really notice their life bond mechanic, by the way. It's a funny thing because as I was exploring the new area, one of them did hit me, and I instantly saw the tutorial pop up. It was very funny. I don't know if the tutorial actually pops up in the abyss if you get hit by the bond of life thingy, and I hope it doesn't. But I didn't really notice this mechanic. It's very easy to stun them with many attacks and also to just dodge all of their attacks, and specifically the attack that applies the Bond of Life. So there isn't any big tip to give here about this Bond of Life mechanic. I mean, to be honest, just have a healer and you should be good. If they hit a character that usually sits off the field, it's not really a major problem. They can one-shot a character if they hit you with this thing and some of their attacks, but that's only if you really don't dodge anything. You should be really good against these girls. And the last thing in this abyss is the new Field Generator boss. This boss is pretty easy, it doesn't have much health even in 12.3, and the only attacks that might cause you some trouble are the shockwaves when it reduces gravity, which it should do immediately. But they can be easily dodged by just jumping, and they don't take much of your time. You should also very easily damage it between each shockwave, even if it ruins your rotation. Again, you should be good. When I first went into this boss, I had my Hutao team, my double Geo Hutao team, and when I tried to jump cancel and jumped way too high, I started laughing a ton. But then I figured the combo I should be doing where I jump cancel into a plunge attack, and it destroyed the boss, and it was a very fun combo to do. So if you're planning to use Hutao this abyss, since she is in the banners, do it this way. You dodge the shockwaves and you don't ruin like your rhythm of canceling your charge attacks, and you deal a lot of damage. And that's it. Like, this boss isn't again that tough. I defeated it with a ton of teams, either ignoring the shockwaves because I had some sort of healing or shielding, or resistance to interruption can be really good, or just jumping with Hutao. Again, not much health as well. So, and any other attack really doesn't do anything. It's just a dash to dodge them, and it doesn't ruin any rotation. Overall, this abyss is easy. I just fucking hate the Icewind suit because its design is complete garbage. I genuinely tried everything to possibly find any mechanic that makes it easier, online or by my own, and there's none! Isn't it fucking beautiful? Fuck these assholes. But again, this abyss is easy. The new Seahorse Boss, extremely easy. Floor 12 doesn't have anything crazy. The fucking crab is gone, so we are good. And just be careful with floor 11 and the local legends, which again I would guess means that we will see this trend with Fontaine where the local legends do exist in floor 11, maybe floor 12, and that's gonna be a big problem if they are in floor 12. Anyway, this was a short video, but again, nothing to really go about in this abyss, especially of course since before we didn't cover, unlike before, we didn't cover 9 and 10, so it's a bit shorter. Like the video if you liked it, sub to the channel to help it out, follow me on Twitch to see me clear the abyss live when it resets and it is in a streaming day, goddammit. And I'll see you in another video. Goodbye.